Good afternoon, everyone. I hope you had a good lunch. And while our panelists is here, I just want to take a few minutes to kind of talk about, well, firstly myself. So I'm from Accenture. I've got 18 years of experience in retail. I am very passionate about sustainability. I also lead innovation for various of our clients. I just wanted to start actually a bit of context setting for our session today with the personal experience that I had around Omnichannel. So I bought this particular product online from a brand, and I wanted to return it back. So I called up their physical store and I said, you know what, I want to return this. I don't really like it. Do you have another one of your products? So she said, हमारा online से कुछ लेना देना नहीं है, and that kind of shocked me because it was under the same umbrella, and for a brand that was selling premium products, it just didn't seem right that they were doing this. I think it also comes from the fact that why I felt that jolt was because right now, as research says, the opportunity cost of not being omni-channel is about 10% loss in your revenue. And as e-commerce is expected to grow by about 12.5% overall and 21.5% globally, I think the cost of not being online is a bit more. And also, as the researchers found out, purchase rate is about 300% times higher when you're across channels. Does that mean that the store is moving out into oblivion and we're only going to look at online? Not really so. Although stores have been constructed to be more brick mortar and more touch and feel, at Accenture we think that it's time to kind of even reinvent the way we think about stores. And I think the reason is because of pandemic. I think pandemic has really ushered in digital in a very, very big way, globally, in India. And that's making us think about online experiences, customer experiences, what store really means for the consumer, right? So I think the basic tenets of omnichannel, a lot of us do understand that there are hybrid customer journeys across. There's a unique card that needs to be there, different payment options distributed, and there are various challenges also. There are multiple challenges, but in my personal opinion, I think data, that one data truth, that is perhaps the most exhaustive challenge of them all, to have one view of your customer, one view of your inventory, right? And I think, of course, technology is an enabler across for all of this. And at Accenture, we have various partnerships with ventures, with Blue Yonder, SAP, Microsoft, to kind of help build on these experiences. We've helped Disney, we've helped Nike with these experiences. And as everybody knows, because it's omnichannel and because of rethinking online as well, it's also the era of the phygital. So we've learned a lot from pioneers like Amazon, from Gucci Live, from Nike House of Innovation, which is absolutely fantastic store in Paris. And this also gets me, and I'm trying to kind of get all the different perspectives of omnichannel as I speak, to another step of phygital, which is the metaverse. I heard a lot of panelists saying, metaverse is something, do we need to do it? Is it something important? But I think it's, again, one of those channels that will help you sell better, that will help the consumer go beyond browsing. So imagine you are in a metaverse world where you have all your personal brands as store outlets. You're able to try them. You have your avatar with your configurations, and you're able to go and try them, and you're able to give a feedback to the brand that, look, this is not what I need. This is not what I want. So, what you're selling in India is something that you need to think about, right? So that's, we also come up with technology trends. Very, very, I think I am involved in one of the retail part of the technology trends, where metaverse is a big, big deal. It's all up on the Accenture website. And I also now want to kind of, the last 5 minutes, talk about what I also spoke about earlier, about how store is evolving and store's importance is evolving. It's not just an outlet, in Accenture's point of view, where you can go and you can sell something. It's an outlet, it's part of your distribution fulfillment node, where you can actually either sell to your online customers and to your physical customers, give them an experience like no other. Right, so we call this concept the store of tomorrow. This also point of view is available on the Accenture website. And this is where online meets offline. It's basically for retailers to go bold with the store experience, also how they operate across all retail channels, to think of a diverse store portfolio while being local for their consumers, saving on their operating costs, and then diversifying it to more experiences. So part of the store experience that we have thought about in Store of Tomorrow, it's divided into basically 3 areas. One is your dark store, where you're actually fulfilling. The second is your promenade, where you can actually have a real experience, whether it's in terms of beauty, you actually understand how your beauty products, where the provenance is coming from, or a personalization stylist experience, or even a live cooking session, or live beauty session, styling session. So that's where you can walk and you can take in and absorb that experience that perhaps you were getting when you were reading a book or browsing. And the aisle is where we actually have set it up where you don't have the entire product out there, but they are like QR codes. So you know that all this is my product that's available in the store. You scan the QR code, it's available to you, and it gets delivered the way you want. So whether you want to pick it up in store, whether you want to actually get it transferred to your home, whichever way. Right? I'll probably close it with the Store of Tomorrow, but before that, I also wanted to touch on sustainability, which is a very topic which is close to my heart. I think omni-channel is something which is the way to go for all retailers, and also because it helps you maximize your optimization, and therefore it helps you to be sustainable in each and every way, because you're looking at one value chain, one basket, one inventory truth, so you know how much your customer is going to order, you know how much you need to get from the supplier, and therefore there's no waste as well, which is all very good for the planet, right? So anyway, with the Store of Tomorrow, again, we think it's a concept that promises to radically simplify the omni-channel customer journey while providing shoppers with great choice and convenience. So I'll end my monologue here with a video that I would like the team to play. This is a Store of Tomorrow concept. Okay, so I thought it's not working. All right, so I think that was very inspiring and aspirational as well. But let's get down to a bit of reality in terms of how it works in the Indian context, in the Indian dynamics. So perhaps I want to start with ABFRL. Basically, I think you have a diverse portfolio. You have many brands, domestic, local, global, stores, online as well. How was the omni-channel experience for you? What were the lessons that you learned during the pandemic? Sorry, the pandemic for you, and what did you learn about omni-channel during the pandemic?
Hello. Yeah. So with a group like ABFRL, like you rightly said, we've got a huge, diverse set of brands, formats. So certain brands usually was very, very offline driven. In fact, we've always been omni-channel, only some of these channels were used more during the pandemic because we had a lot of usage through our stores from the fashion brands. The international brands used to have stores plus a lot of website. So during the pandemic, when it started off, of course, the ones with more website really shot up. We started seeing a lot of business on our fashion brands websites, and therefore, given that due diligence, due love was given on that, most of the apps came out during this phase. We also started focusing on hyperlocal as quite an interesting way to connect with our consumers within their local areas. And apart from that, we would have tried out the WhatsApp, the video calling, where people literally did a direct-to-consumer model almost in that phase. Apart from that, all our brands had to look at merchandise matrix rearrangement, going more towards casual because we have a lot of workwear dependency. And yes, we also looked at direct-to-consumer brands within the marketplaces also. So I think all in all, huge learnings, all been going ahead. Coming out of this, we are going to be much more robust, and we will definitely be using all these channels much more.
Fantastic. And I think a direct, I will juxtapose this with the Raymond brand, which is more 90% stores. And so I just wanted to understand, that must have been a challenging 2 years to kind of look at your store estate and then say, you know what, people are moving online. How do we cope with that? Versus brands that are already either have their own websites or in marketplaces. So what was the story for Raymond?
Yeah, so we're known to be a very physical presence kind of a store with 5 brands and a huge channel of around 1,000 plus the Raymond shops, which are all franchisee network. So we were there. We had started on the journey of digitizing the entire thing. But I think the pandemic forced us to leapfrog it by 5 years. And we had no option but to really put in all the digital initiatives in. So to start off with, like what we heard from him, that some of the guys, the store guys were very innovative. They use WhatsApp calls to reach out digitally to our customers. But more importantly, we tried to get onto the Omni bandwagon. And at least our brand stores, we have been trying to get it on the marketplaces. So that at some point of time, at least if the customer is browsing online, they're able to see all the products, which is whether it's in a warehouse, whether it's in our stores. So that was one of the main initiatives which we did. We are also a company of a lot of dealers. I mean, like I said, we have 1,000 franchisee stores. So whenever we have these trade shows, the massive affairs, 15-day affairs which happen physically in our Thane campus. There was no way we could do that. So we actually digitized our entire trade show where we could not get our samples. So we created digital samples. It was more like a marketplace model where you could do bulk buying. Right? That was enabled within a period of 3 months only. So wherever there was a demand in the market, we could still fulfill it. And at least our customers had enough product in the stores because of that. One more thing which I think we did is that we had a website which was more showcasing our fashion. It was shoppable, but I don't think we were really trying to make it very shoppable. So we were forced to actually make it more shoppable, make links, send bit links to people where people actually come on board, come to a landing page and I could actually make a purchase. So some of these things have actually stayed. Now that the pandemic has webbed and we are seeing physical stores opening up, Q3 has been very good. But some of these things have stayed with us. Now there are a lot of customers who have permanently converted. They're probably using both. So they're using a physical as well as a digital. So that was a big learning for us, that it has changed the consumer buying behavior over the last 2 years. Now we suddenly have a set of customers who are using both.
So did you see consumers adopting to your new set of ways or new shopping ways? But did they easily adapt to it, or did you have to do a lot of marketing or word of mouth? Or
no, so we had to do a lot of digital marketing. We had to use a lot of digital mediums to reach out to people. Thankfully, we have huge marketplaces today which are very proactive with us. And being an iconic brand, it really helps to reach out to people when it comes to formal wear or workwear. So we did a lot of stuff to reach out to people. But what I've seen is that overall, because the entire environment has helped everybody leapfrog into the race, we've sort of also joined the bandwagon. So that entire movement has also helped us. But yeah, we had to do a lot of unlearning and relearn a few things to understand how to cater to this new customer new consumer whose buying behavior is changed. I mean, he's first shopping online, browsing digitally, and then thinking about going to a physical store if required. Maybe buying it from the digital thing only.
Great. So I'll move to Biba. You know, I know you are a personal fan of Omnichannel and you're a big advocate of that, and Biba has been at the front runner of Omnichannel. So I just want to understand, like, basically it's in the Indian ethnic wear you're the biggest. So how are you looking at the diverse customer base that you have, and how are you looking in terms of loyalty or customer acquisition, and even during the pandemic, post-pandemic? I mean, what are your thoughts on Omnichannel for a brand like yours?
Working? Hello. So I think, pandemic did change the very face of operating the business, and the whole business model got disrupted because for the longest time, most of brands like ours as well, we only were present largely through our large format stores or through our own EBOs and all that. While Biba has been present, through our other marketplace platforms like Flipkarts and Myntra's and all, COVID accelerated and reinforced our focus on our digital platforms. And that disruption must have happened across the board for most brands, but we had, I think, been ahead of the curve in terms of investing in technology and building our own website as well. What got leveraged is with the whole tailwind effect of the pandemic, we kind of put all our resources, time, investments to kind of make our own monobrand websites far more bigger in terms of prioritization, in terms of, merchandising, all of that. So kind of that, I think that really helped us to stay in steady state in the pandemic period. Coming back to, the customer experience part, right? I think that's the most tricky part actually, and, I'm glad you asked that question because, our products are such, it is a lot to do with fits. It's a women's wear category. It's a lot to do with fit. It's about colors. It's about how does it look on you. It's a very occasion-driven line as well, right? Now, how do you kind of create the same experience online? So I think a lot of work has been happening on that to create similar kind of experience. But yes, the world has become digital. So we are trying to kind of create a lot of consistency in terms of experience. So one, some very basic hygiene things, right? From our promotions to our pricing strategy to our product strategy, we want to keep it consistent across all channels. We don't, as a brand, we've never endorsed discounting as a model to kind of scale up or grow. In terms of, bringing in new innovative categories, so I think in the last 2 to 3 years, we've invested in introducing a lot of newer collections, which were targeted more for, let's say, a younger clientele, which was again, showcased and first launched and piloted through our own digital platforms. So I think, it's a journey of the customer. We have a very, very strong loyal segment, as you rightly mentioned, which is slow in adopting. But I think we got that tailwind effect of the pandemic that they had no option. So actually, we grew exponentially during the pandemic on all our digital platforms, exponentially, and we didn't expect that. So our early seed investments into that really helped us to kind of sustain. So adoption has happened. I think, like I mentioned, sustaining that habit, is going to be a function of how do we create similar experience across the channels, right? So because we are a very fit and a look and feel kind of a product category, we are working a lot of innovation on our website where we can have consultancy given to the customers, guidance, like what will fit you if you're this body type, etc. Or you're looking for a certain occasion, let's say haldi ceremony or something. How do we kind of, so there is a stylist comment and a stylist feedback that is required. So there's a lot of action happening on that part, but it's a journey. I think adoption has happened. We want a certain segment of customers will remain probably hooked on to both the channels. So they will be the phygital world or they will be the phygital customers. And probably there'll be a customer whose frequency would be instead of because it was a lockdown, they were shopping a lot more online. Now they will probably shop once in a quarter or so. So maintaining that interest level and engagement level will be critical for all of us.
So just one question, which, when you enter into a Biba store, you know that it's like a traditional little bit and, that kind of thing. Are you thinking of getting technology into your store? Are you thinking about a little bit of store experience because you spoke about styling? Are you thinking around those lines?
Yes. So there is a lot of work happening, in terms of creating a connect. So like omnichannel is basically, I think all brands do have multiple platforms where they sell it, right? But each of these platforms have to have a network effect, have to be connected to each other so that the customer gets the same experience. So I think we're in that journey where we're wanting to create that experience. So yes, absolutely. If my customer has walked into an offline space, how do I interject that information to my online? Let's say, almost 25% of sale loss happens because of size not being available, right? How do I get that information on my online portal so that I don't have a customer sale loss? It's a very basic thing, right? Similarly, she probably likes 3 colors, 2 colors are not available at the store. She can go online. Can she try it on herself? So there's a lot of innovation to be done on that front, which I think is a journey, but yes, we are working on getting there.
Okay, fantastic. So moving on to party wear in the Kazo world, what do you think is most difficult in terms for Kazo? Is it loyalty? Is it customer acquisition? Is it giving that consumer experience? Because it's party wear and you want to touch and feel, you want to know what is the weight of the fabric or what's the quality. So in your opinion, what is it for Kazo?
For Kazo, I would say is, of course, the touch and feel is definitely a very important part of the game. So no matter how, of course, we've seen the swing between the consumer behavior during COVID time and before pre-COVID and post-COVID that, of course, when the stores are not open, then automatically the sales are going in. But then there's also a lot of sales return because our products are very fit-oriented, right? And also fit-oriented as well as look and feel because the girls who really want to go and wear it occasionally, even they really want to see, feel, and be sure about what they are buying. So that, of course, is always a challenge. And loyalty has, of course, been very important for Kazo, and our 60% of our sales is derived from the loyalty customers. So that is a very important part of the whole thing. So to ensure that our customer understands the product correct as per how it should be physically, digitally or digitally, right? So this is for sure is a great importance, and we are as a brand working towards that a lot to create on making videos, for example, for all the products to make it as close as possible to physical so that it's digitally also can be understood. And as she also mentioned about this, that there's a lot of sale loss due to non-availability of size and so on. So all this Omni Connect, and this will be definitely a very important thing. I think that's going to impact your top line and bottom line both. Because if you are for sure having a better sell-throughs because of omnichannel connectivity, then automatically it makes sense for the brand holistically, right? But of course, I think brick and mortar is going to play still a very big role in the brand like us. And of course, the collections also depends. For example, during this COVID times, where we could see that expectations from the brand, though they know what we are, was still becoming a little different. So we went into and started working on a Disney loungewear collection. So which was definitely was introduced during this time and which played a wonderful results for us. So Disney online collection we launched for the lounge collection. I think we were the first brand to do it in this direction, the Disney loungewear collection, which get tremendous support and results from the customers.
So did you find that because party wear is such a segment that I think most of us did not go for parties in lockdown, and I mean you had to shift in to loungewear. So did you feel that loyalty was very difficult to achieve, and during the pandemic, and what are your thoughts?
Yeah, I think see that is the product category you were into, right? So I think the expectations, of course, was not making a bridge to what they were thinking in those direction. But I think that's the twist we gave that, okay, making a Disney loungewear collection was a big thing for us. So our design department did a great job on that. So thanks to them. Yeah.
So I think one brand that didn't have any problem, I think, because we all went into self-care was Body Shop, maybe, because it is totally in this area, and I think it's a global brand as well. So already up there, all the omni-channel ticks and everything. So what are your views for beauty on omni-channel, and what are your views in terms of what are the top things that brands, whether local or global, should look at?
Um, yeah, so in the context of the pandemic, I mean, I'm perhaps the only beauty retailer in the panel, and I mean, in that context or within those 18 months when it was just terrible for everyone, it was actually quite wonderful for us, right? So uh, because sitting at home, we as retailers used to sort of dismiss the notion that skincare is something that people would choose to buy online because it requires a little bit of consultative experience at the store. But we were completely flipped in our thought process. What we sort of, a lot of the points about how different brands dealt with the pandemic have already been covered. But I guess I'll just sort of cover one point that while apparel found it difficult, it was booming. At the same time, everybody saw that boom and got onto the bandwagon. In the context of Omnichannel, we were actually at one point of time competing with only D2C brands because it was only online platform that there was. And we quickly found out that these guys have the kind of digital maturity that we as traditional retailers don't have. So what traditional retailers have is hustle, right? It's just real on-ground hustle. So we kept up with that, but we found it really difficult in the past, I would say, 6 months to 1 year to sort of match up with what these guys are bringing to the market. Our omni-channel journey has been actually, a great aid in doing that because we've been in the market for quite a long time. We already have established a level of trust. The consumer now just says, okay, come to me where I am, and that's what we're trying to do. It's as simple as that. I mean, if the customer is on WhatsApp, I go to the WhatsApp and serve his needs. If he's on Facebook Messenger, that's what I do. And everything else, every other detail is just technology, and that's an enabler. The whole thought process is go where the customer is. And that's what we've stuck to.
Did you have any learnings from your global strategies, and did you transfer it to the domestic market, to India, so to say? And were there any similarities, differences?
The global market perhaps sort of went through the same phase we did because we're also not a new brand, a very well established brand. So they also saw the same trends and the curves that we had. Where they have been able to sort of guide us is the true success of being omnichannel and how it actually translates in real numbers. Well, the investment makes sense. Here's a case study. Here's the ROI. Go for it. So we had a template of the same brand in another market that sort of, took away our reluctance or whatever, investments that were required to invest in the technology. Yeah.
Thank you. So now moving on to Zebra, I think that's a common thread running through all brands' technology. So what are, in your view, are the top 3 things that retailers need to think when they're developing an omnichannel strategy or omnichannel experience or campaign, whichever?
It's very interesting to see, different facets of how companies have really navigated the pandemic. So to me and to us, incidentally, the pandemic has been a positive impact on our business. And today, retail and e-commerce, and we club it as one vertical, is our biggest contributor, right? So it essentially means that customer expectation is driving technology intervention, right? And there is no e-commerce without technology. And the way the millennial shopper journey is transforming, whether it is pre-purchase, purchase, or post-purchase, is what is defining trust in a brand. And I think companies which have invested in technology ahead of the curve are going to come up winners in the future as well, right? Customers, and you don't need to look at a survey to see what's happening all around you. And by the way, we have conducted a big survey of about 5,000 customers, retailers, a global survey which has given us a lot of insights. But you don't have to go and look at a conducted research. You go and see the insights at your home. I have 2 daughters, millennials. For them, safety is probably the biggest issue while shopping today, right? And they're looking, and they're a mobile first generation. So their first destination for shopping is their mobile phone. So they will look at research online, look at multiple websites, get a view to what's latest, what's happening, and they will not only go to an Amazon or a Flipkart, they will go to Pinterest and many other websites to see what's in fashion. And they'll probably then come to a store and see the fit and color, whether it suits them or not, and then probably buy it online and get them delivered at home. So consumers today are really looking at a seamless experience, a seamless digital experience, and depending on the class of product, whether it is a more touch and feel or it's more commoditized, they will make their decisions, right? And how do companies really then start to look at where to invest in technology, right? So one is clearly how to enable e-commerce, right? How do you convert a retail outlet into a micro-fulfillment center, right? You at the beginning of the talk spoke about how you lost trust with a vendor because he didn't manage returns operations well, right? How do you manage returns operations? These are all technology interventions, right? The other aspect is also about store operations. How can you be more efficient about inventory in your stores? There is research which shows that customers trust those brands whose associates are equipped with better technology, right? So you enter into a store, the biggest issue with customers face is stock out, right? But if your associates are empowered with technology saying, yes, I have this, and I will find it for you in the store. Or I don't have it in this store, but we have it in the Connaught Place store, and we will have it shipped to you. That restores trust in the brand, and you don't let the customer go. And these technology interventions have a very fast payback period these days. And there are anecdotal customers who tell us that the payback can be as fast as 1 year, right? So I think technology is really defining store operations today. But when you talk about technologies of the future, the analytics behind it, so we recently conducted some POCs and pilots for some large retailers around trial room analytics. So how many of your SKUs are getting tried, and then from trial room it is going to invoicing? How many SKUs have not been even tried in the past 6 months, right? So which helps you in better efficient management of your inventory. And then there is obviously predictive technologies on what is likely to be sold in the future and how do you plan around it. So I think this is the time when all retailers should be really seriously thinking not only on supply chain management, which is a big area of technology intervention, but how do you run efficient store operations, analytics around your customers, one view to the customer, as you said. I mean, those are areas with the payback will be even faster for retailers.
Great thoughts, I think. I just want to kind of touch on one last topic, which is basically, I think, the culmination of the sweet spot of omni-channel technology and sustainability, which I think ABFRL is touching on, how you brought about digitization of your designing process and of your merchandising process. If you could talk about that, because that's like at the start of where you can start to be critical about your inventory, and also it's a great way to be to bringing one truth of your inventory in terms of the designing process, or in terms of understanding what you need to design. So I think you spoke about some examples during the pandemic.
Sure.
If you could just.
So I think pre-pandemic only we had started moving towards 3D design for all designers. So we were actually pretty ready. Just before the lockdowns, all our systems had moved to our designers' houses. And we were actually able to do the whole mask business through that. Even in fact, during the whole pandemic, when people were in their houses, we had all ranges ready. Reviews were done in 3D forms. And that allowed us to actually, firstly, get quicker decisions. We were also able to do fit sessions pretty easily on there. Earlier, we would have had to wait for samples to come in, make them again. And eventually, I think, even somebody else touched on the digital trade show. So that also helped us, because earlier we would do 2 weeks in a hotel with complete a lot of samples. Everybody comes across from all across India. We were now doing that month on month. on an iPad, and we were able to take much closer decisions, month on what to cut, what to make. So that allowed us to optimize our merchandise, extremely critical during a time when the pipelines were, in fact, everybody would have been stuck with inventory. So I think this whole design intervention helped us throughout. We are, in terms of capability, we are actually, I would say, metaverse ready. So as the things go on, we will see how things play. Currently, it's mainly on accessibility. I think when transactions open up and things open up, so I think that's another area that we will be looking at. But overall, great for merchandise development. And I think the next space that we are looking at is also how do we convert sort of the photos, the images that are generated on the systems for e-commerce. If we go to that level, I think that would be great. Thank you.
Right, great. So I think we'll close the panel here. I think nothing like a good technology use case to close the panel and to kind of win all hearts in terms of omni-channel sustainability and even eco-conscious design, I would say. So thank you guys. I had a blast, and I hope you guys enjoyed the session as well.